Hi everyone, it's Dr. T, and I wanted to share with you how a few simple steps can actually end your eating issues for life. But first of all, I just want to share with you about how I discovered this and the fact that I was somebody that had really significant eating issues, and these eating issues were just all consuming. And this went on for years of my life. This started when I was really young. And because I was somebody who was very emotionally sensitive and I felt lots of emotional impact all the time, even though it was ultimately doing a lot of all this kind of normal stuff that people do in life and seeming like things were just okay on the outside. The truth is that I was struggling so much internally with feeling just an intensity of emotions from the time I was really little that by the time I was 12, I had an eating disorder. And this eating disorder for years of my life just consumed me. Now, while a lot of you may not have what you consider a full-fledged eating disorder, I know a lot of you struggle with your relationship with food and eating issues and navigating all of that. And I know you struggle with your relationship with food and with your body and with your weight. And if you were anything like I was, this was just honestly the most all-consuming experience of my life. And there wasn't really a single moment of my life that wasn't impacted by this, including the fact that I was so stressed out and so emotionally overwhelmed by all of this that all through my younger years, this really impacted even my ability to sleep. Right? I was just absolutely emotionally impacted all the time, really feeling emotionally whatever was going on in life, I really experienced it in a huge emotional way. And I was just on this huge roller coaster of emotions. And because of all of that, I just needed, to hang on for dear life. And I had a coping mechanism. And that coping mechanism was not only eating lots of food, but it was obsessing about food. And then obsessing about what I'd eaten and obsessing about what I was going to eat or shouldn't eat, and obsessing about my appearance. And this, again, it just became an entire way of being, which added to all of my levels of emotional stress and made what was already a pretty significant emotional intensity in my day-to-day life. It just made it that much worse. It like lit the flames, and it was just this big compounding hot mess, right? Even though I really didn't feel very hot at all. And so with all of this, all of these issues, this went on into a period into my 20s. And this was so difficult. It's like here I was able to do all kinds of stuff, excelling in all of these other areas of my life, but I definitely wasn't emotionally excelling, and I definitely wasn't excelling in having a great relationship with myself, with my body, with food, and with being able to focus on the things that really mattered to me and have the focus of food be in just, the one small category that it was supposed to be in life. And so this, became its own obsession to try to fix this. But at the same time, like many of you, the greatest obsession running this whole thing was then to try to be to try to lose weight all the time, right? To be of some sort of an acceptable level of weight. And so again, no matter what way I turned, there was just something that was emotionally haunting me, and it impacted all of my behaviors. And this was the kind of situation where I would wake up in the morning and I would absolutely vow to do all kinds of things a certain way. And in fact, I would get up at like 5 in the morning. I'd do 2 hours of exercise and be really, really hard on myself doing it, because I was doing it all out of fear. And then I would vow to do all kinds of things to lose weight and to be in control. I mean, really what I was trying to go for was being in control. And I kid you not, I would like go by lunchtime at school and all through college as well. By lunchtime, I was already done. Like I'd already like just made a decision to do something or eat something or whatever, and it was game over. And then I would lose even more control. And it was just this incredible battle between what my intentions were, what I desired, and the fact that what was going on was that I was always emotionally impacted so easily that I wasn't even able to like stay with myself, stay with my priorities. And all it took was, if they had a certain lunch offered at school that I wanted, all it took was that little stimulus. And I was just like, I was just done chowing down. And even while I was eating, feeling already stressed about it. And the second I was done, then I was stressed about that. And then what was I going to do next? And this absolute just torture chamber went on for years. And ultimately, I knew I had to make a huge change for myself because none of the therapies that I was engaging in were really working. So long story short, I developed a methodology that is incredibly practical and very simple, right? Which doesn't mean that it doesn't require us to apply it and us to be people to be focused in implementing it. But ultimately, it's a process that works really well. And it was able to change the course of a very extensive eating disorder for myself and eating disorders and eating issues for all of my clients who suffered with this tremendous frustration where this issue just truly was like the entire lens that they lived their life through. So what I knew is that I knew everything about every diet. I knew every calorie for everything that there was. I knew all there was to know about losing weight, about actually how to like have anorexia, how to have bulimia, how to have all of these strategies in order to try to look the way that you want to look and ultimately have some sort of a framework that put me in control. So somehow all of these diets that I was an expert at, right, by like the age of 16, all of these diets were supposed to be my framework. But what I found is that they were not even able to get anywhere close to being strong enough to withstand what my emotional framework was at the time. So all of these diets that I think we can all agree people can lose weight on any number of diets. It's actually not that complicated. The reality is that that framework of like, eat this, don't eat that, measure this, and all of these things, that framework, it is not necessarily a framework that is what puts you in control, right? It may give you like a to-dos list and a not to-dos list, but it does not put you in control. And what I found is that the bottom line of what I needed and every one of my clients has ever needed is a framework that actually gives you the self-control that it takes in order to carry out those priorities that you have for yourself. And in order to end the emotional battle that puts you in this war with food in your body in the first place. So things being really practical is something really important. And that's why I've taken what is ultimately the simplest methodology that changed my life, and I put it into my upcoming book that's coming out tomorrow called The Method, which is the practical path to living your life's purpose and potential. Now, why that's so exciting for me to share with you is that this is the exact framework that freed me from a life of eating issues and weight issues, and worst of all, the chronic obsession with all of it that took all of my energy, all of my attention. It exhausted me, and even with all kinds of wonderful things going on in life, so much of myself was just, devoted to that. My attention was all in that area. So when you have a simple framework and a method that can allow you to be in charge of your emotions, then the reality here is that then you can be in charge of your behaviors, which are two of the things that I can highly recommend because they're the greatest feelings in the world, right? Being in the driver's seat of your own emotions and your own behaviors, because, right, there's an equation that you're trying to do. You have an outcome that you're wanting to experience, whether it's a certain weight, whether it's freedom from food issues, whether it's the ability to put more of your energy into other things that really matter to you. Things need to be very simple and easy to do. And when you have a framework for self-control, then you have a framework for eliminating food issues for the rest of your life, which not so coincidentally eliminates the weight issues and everything else that goes along with that. And as you'll learn in the book, this entire change from employing this method and this framework, this incredible self-control framework, has made it so that I've been able to, for years and years, 20 years now, been able to just be absolutely emotionally available to myself, be at what is my natural weight. That was always the weight that I was supposed to be at. And to have food be a thing that supports me in my life, but not something that takes all of my attention. And to be able to live as the way that you were designed to live, the way your body was meant to be, that is also one of the greatest experiences that I wish for all of you, which is why I put everything in this book so that you could all get this framework and start to implement it in your life, so that you're not depending on diets and eating plans to try to control your emotions, which, if you're anything like I was, those things, they didn't have the ability to overcome what it was that I needed to do from the inside out. Right? So here's the other cool thing. Starting tomorrow, March 12th, the method will be just 99 cents. And I've made it that way because I want all of you to be able to get access to this method and get this framework and really get started down the path of being in self-control. Now, this is important that you know that this starts tomorrow, because I'm giving you a heads up so that you can be ready to go ahead and do that tomorrow and be able to get all the benefits of that. So, so with all of that said, what I want to just, give you such great hope for is that no matter what has happened with your emotional challenges in your life, what you've experienced in your past, wherever your level of self-control is right now, that there's also a step that you can start with right now, which is something you'll learn a lot more about in the book. But there's a single step that I want to help you with, which is to know that self-control will never come when we are in reaction to everything. So one of the ways you can get started and then you can learn more about in the method, is to start recognizing how much of your experience that you're having that is in reaction versus having you be in self-connection. So if you're always in reaction, then all kinds of things in life they'll be overriding all of your intentions. But when you're in self-connection, then you have the beginning foundation to a life of self-control and a life where you're calling the shots about what you want to make happen for your body and for yourself and for everything and everyone that matters in your life. So as a reminder, tomorrow the method will be 99 cents, and I'll post the link in here again. So I'll make sure that everybody has the link to get that discounted offer. And in between now and then, pay attention to where you are in a state of reaction versus where you're in a state of connection. All right, everyone. See you tomorrow. Take care.